أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي أشهد أن حي الفلاح حي الفلاح حي على خير عمل حي على خير عمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعمه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. صدق الله العظيم. Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't have much time, inshallah, but starting today, I will let you know that the time that was given was 1 o'clock, but Zuhr namaz, the azan for Zuhr happens at 12:50. The azan for Zuhr happens at 12:50, and for Jummah prayer to happen, it has to happen within a certain time limit. If it doesn't happen within that time limit, then Salat al-Zuhr, it's supposed to be prayed. And 15 to 20 minutes maximum is that time limit from the time of Salatul Azan. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. 15, 20 minutes from the time that Zuhr sets in. That's how much time we have to start the khutbah and Salatul Jum'ah. So, inshallah, from next week or wherever you guys go, just remember that there is that 15 to 20 minutes. If it's not started within that, then Salatul Zuhr ends up being prayed. So, Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Inshallah, because I don't have that much time, the verse that I started this khutbah off with is a very famous verse of the Quran, and it deals with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. This verse is known as the verse of purification, which talks about Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam being purified, thoroughly purified from every type of uncleanliness. And this verse, there's been controversy, there's been debate over who this verse applies to throughout the history of Islam. And that debate still exists today. You have people that say that this verse applies, three groups of thoughts, or three types of thoughts. You have people that say that this verse, Ayatul Tathir, only and only applies to whom? The wives of the Prophet. One group. You have another group of people that say that this verse applies to only and only Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein alayhim salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And you have a third group of people that say that this verse applies to whom? These five personalities and the wives of the Prophet. Three groups of people. When you analyze this verse, and when you think about the Quran, and you think about the three groups of people who are claiming this verse was revealed for certain individuals, only and only one of these three can be right. Either this verse only and only applies to the wives of the Prophet, or no, it applies to only and only those five holy personalities that the Shias talk about, or no, this verse applies to both the wives and those five holy personalities. Logically, only and only one of these three can be true. All three of them cannot be true. Meaning what? Meaning the third supposition, where this verse applies to both the Ahlul Bayt, the five holy personalities, and the wives. What is this basically doing? It is basically joining the first two together. That's it. This third idea is basically joining the first two together. So what does this mean logically? Logically, if you can disprove that this verse is applied to the wives of the Prophet, then the third supposition itself, it becomes illogical. You can get rid of it. So, because it's been a debate for so long and it's still a debate today, let's analyze this verse. Who does this verse actually talk about? Who was this verse revealed for? Was it revealed for the wives, or was it revealed for those five personalities? To begin with, the ulama, they say, look at the verse. When you look at the verse and you read the verse, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. They say when you read this verse, the pronouns or the nouns that this verse is using, they're all masculine. Meaning what? Meaning he is for masculine. The nouns that are being used, therefore, they're used for masculine. They're used for males. In English, it's the same way. You have nouns and pronouns that are used for males, and you have nouns and pronouns that are used for females. In Urdu, it's the same. You have pronouns that are used for specifically females, and you have pronouns that are used for specifically males. The ulama, they say, when you analyze this verse, you see that their pronouns, the pronouns that are attached to the verbs, in Arabic, the pronoun is always attached to a verb. either that pronoun is hidden or that pronoun is apparent. For example, in the verse that we're talking about, yutahharakum, this kum, this word kum is a pronoun. Is attached to yutahhar. Yutahhar is the verb. In Arabic, the pronoun is attached to the verb. Either that pronoun is apparent, like in this verse, the pronoun is apparent, or the pronoun is hidden. If it's hidden, then in Arabic, the fi'l that's used, the verb that is used is called fi'l majhul, meaning that the verb is there, but you don't know who the actor is. The pronoun will be what? In hiding. You don't know who the actor is, or you don't know who this verb took place on. This yutahhar, what does this say? It's talking about cleansing. If it's talking about cleansing, then there has to be a maf'ul bi. There has to be someone, something that this cleansing takes on. This cleansing is applied to someone. And this kum tells us who or what this cleansing is applied to. But in this verse, the kum is pronoun. Just like in English, just like in Urdu, you'll have pronouns. The ulama, they say, look at this verse. In the verse, the pronouns that are used, they're all masculine. If it was only and only talking about the wives, the masculine pronoun will never be used. In English, it's the same way. In Urdu, in any language, it's the same way. When you talk about women, you do not refer to them as he. When you talk about men, you do not refer to them as she. When you talk about women, you'll refer to them as she. When you talk about men, you'll refer to them as he. In Arabic, it's the same. When you talk about men, you'll refer to them as he. When you talk about women, you'll refer to them as she. What does that mean? That means that the pronouns that are used will always correlate to the gender. If the gender is female, the pronoun will be feminine. If the gender is male, the pronoun will be masculine. In this verse, the ulama, they say, look at this verse specifically. The verses before it, where it's talking to the wives, the pronouns that are used are all feminine. The verse that comes after it, the pronouns that are used are all feminine. So why is it that in this verse the pronouns are masculine? The ulama, they say, if it was still talking about only and only the wives, then it's not becoming to use the pronouns that are masculine. Nauzubillah, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not know that He is talking to the wives of the Holy Prophet? No, He does. What do they say? They say, look, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ. This kunna at the end, it denotes females. Kunna, it denotes females, more than one female. Then it goes on to say, وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا. Tabarraj is the verb that na at the end, it's telling you. وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا. And then it goes on to say, وَأَقِمْنَا الصَّلَاةِ. These pronouns that are used at the end, the noon that's coming at the end, that's used as a pronoun. That is coming as a pronoun and is telling you that this is applying to whom? Only and only females. The pronouns that are coming in the verses after, or the parts after Ayatul Tathir, those pronouns are being used for only and only females. In Ayatul Tathir, the pronouns are not used for females. They're used for whom? Males. In Arabic, if there's one female and there are many males, you'll use which pronoun? The masculine pronoun. You'll use the masculine pronoun. Even if there's 3 females and there's 1 male, what pronoun do you use? You use the masculine pronoun. You don't use the feminine pronoun. In Ayatul Tathir, what pronoun is used? The masculine pronoun, meaning that the individuals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cleansed, they're men in that. They're men in those individuals. So when there are men in those individuals, how can it only and only apply to the females or the wives of the Prophet? It can't. It can't. looking at it from a different perspective. The third group, even though if we, logically speaking, if we negate that this verse has anything to do with the females or the wives of the Prophet, logically speaking, the third group that says that this verse is applied to the wives and those 5 holy personalities, that itself gets defeated. But looking at it from another perspective, the group that says that this applies to the holy 5 personalities and the wives, both of us, we have what in common? That we agree to the extent that this has those 5 individuals in it. Meaning Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Lady Zahra, and the Holy Prophet, we agree that this verse contains those 5 in it. When we agree on this matter, then let's look at what some of these personalities themselves say about who the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam are. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, what does he say in the Nahj al-Balagha? The first thing Amir al-Mu'mineen says about Ahlul Bayt, the second sermon, at the end of the first sermon, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, لا يقاس بعال محمد من هذه الأمة أحدا. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says that none in the Islamic community can be taken on par with the progeny of Muhammad, Al Muhammad. None in this community can be taken on par, meaning that they cannot be equal to Al Muhammad alayhi salam. If no one in the community can be equal to Muhammad wa Al Muhammad, then that means that no one else in the community can be above them. No one can be better than them. Yes or no? Yes. If the wives are referred to in Ayat al-Tathir, then why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that would mean that these wives that the Holy Prophet has, these are the best wives that he could have. If these wives are the Ahlul Bayt, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says that no one in the community can be equal to the Ahlul Bayt. No one in the community can be equal to the Ahlul Bayt. So that means that no one in the community can be better than the Ahlul Bayt. If what the majority of Muslims say now, that the Ahlul Bayt include the wives, that means that there can be no woman that is better than these wives that the Holy Prophet has. Why? Because you say that these wives are the Ahlul Bayt. If that's the case, then there can't be any woman that's better than the wives of the Holy Prophet. That would mean that the Holy Prophet could not get any better wives than he has. But that's not true. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in Surah Al-Tahrim, verse number 5, he says, it may happen that if the Prophet divorces you, to whom? The wives. It may happen that if the Prophet divorces you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give in your place wives that are better than you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give in your place wives that are better than you. If these wives are the Ahlul Bayt, then how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that He will give wives that are better than you? There can't be any wives that are better than the Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen says that there's no one at the level of the Ahlul Bayt. So there can't be anyone better than the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes on to say, describing the Ahlul Bayt, he goes on to say, Hum asasuddin wa imadul yaqeen. They are the foundation of religion and the pillars of belief. The foundation of religion and the pillars of belief. When we look at the actions of some of those wives, we see that they were the ones that were destroying Islam itself. Someone who destroys Islam, how can they be the foundation of religion? How can they be? How can they be the pillar of belief when you're destroying Islam? It was some of these wives that were putting whom? The Sahaba against the Sahaba. What do I mean? The Battle of Jamal. The Battle of Jamal. It was fought against Amir al-Mu'mineen. Which wife of the Holy Prophet rose up against Amir al-Mu'mineen? Aisha. And you want to say that Aisha, she's one of the foundations of religion? when you see in history that she's the one destroying religion? And then Amir al-Mu'mineen, who goes on to say what? He goes on to say, Hum mu'zi as-sirri. They are the trustees of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's secrets. They're the trustees of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's secrets. And then, walaja'u amrihi. And then not only are they the trustees of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's secrets, they are the shelter for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's affairs, umur, the affairs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they are the shelters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's affairs. They are the source of the knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can any of the wives claim that they know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. No. But it was the Holy Prophet who said that, Ya Ali, no one understood Allah except for me and you. No one understood me except for Allah and you. No one understood you except for me and Allah. And no one understood Allah except for me and you. Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is he saying? He's saying that I am part of the Ahlul Bayt. The Imam, what did he say? He said that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they are the shelter for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's affairs. The shelter. What do we read in Surah Al-Qadr? Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadr khayrun min alf ash-shahr. Tanazzalu al-malaikatu wa ruhu fiha bi-izni rabbihim min kulli amrin. Laylatul Qadr is that night when the ruh and the malaika descend down with what? With the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen says that the Ahlul Bayt, they are the shelter for the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Ahlul Bayt are the shelter. Tell me, who can claim, which one of the wives can claim that the angels descended upon them? None of them. None of them. And this is one of the reasons, this surah is one of the reasons that one of the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always needs to exist. Why? Because as long as there's Laylatul Qadr, the night of grandeur, that means that as long as this night exists, the angels and the spirit will constantly descend with the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until when? Until the day of judgment. So when they descend with that amr, who did they descend upon? Whoever they descend upon, they need to exist on this earth. So when one imam leaves this world, there has to be another imam that takes their place so these angels can descend. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصي نعمه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسكر ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وآله وإمام المسلمين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة النساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء صلوات الله عليها وعلى سيد الشباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين عليهم السلام اللهم صل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا حجة ابن الحسن صاحب العصر والزمان. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم. لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم. سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقوته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا ولي الله في صدق الله في وافة الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
سبحان الله سبحان الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقوته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقوم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.